Assalamu alaikum everyone. Today I am gonna talk about NAT. It is the part of computer network. Here is the today's discussion topic about NAT. Firstly, I am talk about what is NAT. NAT. NAT is a network address translation. It is a technique commonly used by internet service providers and organizations to enable multiple devices to share a single public IP addresses. And so by using NAT device on a private network can communicate with the devices on a public network without the need for each device to have it one unique IP addresses. Here we can see addressing of NAT. In addressing NAT of network address translation, there are two types of IP addresses. First one is private IP addresses and the second one is public IP addresses. Why we use NAT? Because using NAT there are many reasons for improved security, IP address conservation, improved security, better speed, flexibility, multi-homing, cost saving, easier network administration, etc. How does NAT work? When a device in a private network wants to communicate with a device on the internet, it sends a request to the NAT device with its private IP addresses and a port number. The network address translation device then translates the port number and private IP address to a public IP address and a unique port number and sends the request to the internet. When the response is received from the internet, the network address translation device translated the public IP address and port number back to the private IP addresses and port number and sends the response back to the devices in the private network. As per the images above, only the private IP 10.0.0.1, here is the private IP addresses, and will be visible to the internet, and rest all other IP addresses such as 10.0.0.4 or 10.0.0.3 etc. will be hidden. Types of NAT. We know that there are three types of NAT, like static NAT, dynamic NAT and PAT. Basically PAT is the port address translation. Static NAT. Basically static NAT involves a one-to-one mapping between a private IP addresses and a public IP address. Here we can see the same things. So each device in the private network is permanently mapped to a specific public IP addresses, allowing the device to be reached from the internet using the same public IP address every time. So secondly, we know about dynamic NAT. So dynamic NAT is assigned a public IP address to a private IP address from a pool of available addresses. When a device in the private network wants to communicate with the internet, it is assigned a public IP address from the pool. When the connection is no longer needed, the public IP address is returned to the pool for use by another devices. Thirdly, we know about PAT, port address translation. Basically, it is a type of network address that maps a network's private internet IPv4 addresses to a single public IP address. Here we can see the same thing. This is similar to NAT with PAT, but it is translate the protocol used by the devices. This allows devices that use different protocols such as IPv4 and IPv6 to communicate with each other through the network address devices. So we know the advantages of NAT. Basically, there are many advantages of NAT, such as conserves public IP addresses, provides security. Security is basically the private IP addresses of network devices, making it more difficult for attack to target specific devices, and simplifies network management, improves network performance, and it works also increase flexibility. That's it. Then we'll talk about disadvantages of NAT. Network address translation has following, like complexity. For disadvantages, NAT devices translated the IP addresses and port numbers of the network's devices, hence it increases the complexity factor of network. Then limited connectivity. Network address has limited connectivity. There's many other problems uh, users can face. Then reduce security. If NAT is not configured correctly or updated to addresses new threats, it can introduce security and mm, it also, router being a layer devices should not, certain application will not function will NAT enable. So we understand the many other disadvantages of NAT. However, network address translation is a method used by network devices in order to translate the IP addresses of devices in a private network to a single IP address. By doing so, network address translation provides an additional layer of security by hiding the private IP addresses of the devices in the network. However, network address translation can also introduce complexity, limit the connectivity of specific devices and applications, and describes the performance of certain protocols. If you have any queries, then ask me in my comment box. Thank you everyone, and subscribe and share my channel. Thank you.